Out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
And today on our Hanging Out feature, I've got someone I've been waiting to hang out with for a while now. I'm glad that we're finally doing this. You listen to him every single morning on 702 Breakfast. You have watched him over the years on television, whether it's on the SABC or on Carte Blanche or when he was a kiddie star, because he was a child star. So please put some respect on Bongani Bingwa. Welcome. Welcome to the show, Bongani.
Did you run out of kids?
Probably did.
Who said no?
Yeah, the foundation launched last night was so much, and we thought, you know what, just get Bongani.
Too busy.
No, really, thank you so much for coming. We've been trying to get you to come on the show, and I'm glad that we can get to know you better this morning. And is it awkward, first of all, being on the other side? Because
Yes.
I always find that so awkward.
Yes, it is. You said something last night on stage,
Yeah.
so I think this is, for public consumption.
Yeah.
You expressed a social awkwardness about
Yes.
yourself.
Yeah.
And I think because I'm such a loud,
Yeah.
boisterous character, people think I don't have that. But I have lots of social anxieties and awkwardness, particularly around intimacy. And this feels intimate when you have to speak about your life. I'm much happier to talk about a subject or a topic. But when it's about you and who you are, that always, I'm feeling very vulnerable right now.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good because it's good to be vulnerable. It's good.
Yeah,
because
when
then
you're
what
on the
comes
other
is-
side. When you're over
yeah, when
there,
you're on the
yeah.
other side. So, when were you? Like, how old were you when you started working on television? Because then, when they called you a child star, like, what were you doing? How old were you at the
Okay,
time?
well, I think the child is a bit creative in it, but I mean, it's fair. So I, in high school, participated in debating, but also public speaking. And in fact, for a long time, I thought I would be sort of a motivational public speaker. And in a sense, I've always worked in speaking jobs, but there was a kiddies channel on Mnet called KTV. This was way before your time. So you might not
I was
remember
3
that.
years old. Was it in 1993?
So in 1993, no, it had been running on Mnet, and it was one of the big draw cards
Yeah.
for people to get decoders in those days. KTV, because they had the best children's programs, cartoons. I mean, they would have big Red Nose Days campaigns. All the kids who were stars were on KTV. So the SABC was trying to obviously not lose that segment of the market. So they were starting a thing called Mini TV. And I had just won this national speaking competition, and I was interviewed on what was then called Good Morning South Africa.
How old were you?
I was in my matric year. So 17, 18, which is why I thought the child was
Yeah,
a
the
bit,
child then is a
bit of a stretch, but I
yeah.
see it. And so they saw me being interviewed on that, and they were looking for presenters, and they called my school, funny enough. You want to talk about teachers making a difference. I matriculated at a school in Thunderbale Park, and they called my school and they said, hey, we saw this guy. Could he come in for an audition? And my English teacher drove me all the way from the Val to the SABC for the audition, and I got the gig.
Oh, wow, that's so sweet. Have you ever seen her ever again since after
I
that?
saw her about 13 years
Later.
after matric,
Ah.
and I was at the Cinema Nouveau, and I was so pleased to still be seeing the kind of films, not movies, films she would have approved of.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So then broadcasting though, growing up, is that something that's always interested you? What did you want to become when you were growing up?
Funny enough, I always wanted to work on radio. One of the things that people don't necessarily know about me is my interest in music. I thought I would work on music radio. I knew and I studied who was, on what position on the charts. I wanted to know which album sold, how many copies. I would be the one to open the CD sleeve or the album cover and know the producers, know the songwriters, know the studios, know which. So I could tell you writers and the artists that they'd worked with. So I always thought I would be in music radio.
That's so fascinating.
And
That-
people would say, oh, you speak so well, you ought to be on TV or on the radio.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to happen, but of course, as a kid, I didn't know how it would. But, here we are.
But growing up then in the Eastern Cape, was that sort of like, did you have people that you can reference as it's possible for me to do that, even like become a music
So
executive
I've
or
always
whatever
loved
the case is?
radio. I mean, so you also have to understand the first time I ever saw a television set, I must have been about 8 years old, and I'd gone to play as one does, growing up in sort of township type neighborhoods, across the road, made a friend, went inside. Oh my gosh, what's this? So until I was about 8 years old, my primary source of entertainment and information was the radio, Radio Transkei. But also, interestingly enough, Clement, I was interested in current affairs, even though I was listening to it. I mean, I suppose language shouldn't make any difference, right? I mean, I remember watching the US election in 1984, at least following it via radio. I remember when Jesse Jackson ran as a Democrat candidate. I remember when Reagan won.
Jeez.
I remember the scandal when Vanessa Williams was stripped of her Miss America title because I was fascinated by news and current affairs, even as a youngster. I was that precocious child who wanted to debate and talk to adults about things probably much, much bigger than my brain could understand at the time.
You had no option. You couldn't have escaped this career. I mean, in understanding now what you're telling us about the things you were interested in, history is something that I do find you're interested in. It's something that you studied
I
in
studied
school.
history, yeah.
Yeah. Did you major in history?
Yeah.
And
I did.
was it something you were interested in, or you came across it at university and you thought, okay, let's figure this
No,
thing
I was
out?
always interested in history. I did well at school. I mean, I got the history prize
Yeah.
in my
You were a
matric year
smart
at school.
A smart kid, eh?
Well, I mean, one of the things that I find fascinating, my friends and I, when I was in high school, the debates weren't about whether you would pass or not. Our competition was how many distinctions you were going to get. When that paper, and I mean, I remember it very well, 15 December 1993, I was sitting with a copy of the Star newspaper at the SABC reception because I was now a TV presenter.
Yeah.
And all you wanted to know, you would go through the names. Obviously, you knew what you got, and you went around checking all your peers. And we weren't checking whether people passed or not. I wanted to know how many
stars?
distinctions did Clement get?
So how many did you get?
3,
What?
which was a bit of an underperformance.
What?
Yes.
I think I got 1 or 2. I got biology, or I got NCPD. Yeah. Yeah, give me credit for Sepedi, please.
Well done, well done, well done, well done.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. That's so fascinating. All right. So, speaking of music, because earlier you were explaining that you've always had an interest in music, we're going to play some of the songs that you listen to or are your favorites, because we want to get to know you through songs as well. And Zintle, the producer, was telling me that these aren't necessarily your personal favorite songs, but these
It's
are...
an impossible question to ask.
I know, but there's that one song that you know that you'll always revert to for
So-
whatever reason.
So here's something juicy for you. One of the biggest fights I ever had in a relationship, because music is such a big part of my life, was when a person who, for obvious reasons, is now an ex, said that my music interest was one-dimensional, which was about the biggest insult you could throw at me. And that's why it was such an impossible task, because you asked, or at least your team asked, for 4 songs
Yeah.
that would sort of tell you something about me.
Yeah.
And I thought, I can listen to jazz, to pop, to rock, to heavy rock, to hip hop, to Afro pop, to amapiano, you name it. I listen to just about anything. And so I thought it's just I would have taken 3 days to figure it out. So what I decided to do, and I thought this might also be quite unique, of the 4 songs, 3 of the artists are people I interviewed at this station. And the other one, of course, I couldn't have because he died in 2005.
Would that be Luda Vandross?
Yes, it would be.
So let's start with Luda Vandross, because I think anybody who listens to you know how big of a fan you are of him. I mean, every time you guys talk about him, you tell KG to start the song, some Luda Vandross song. I've had a few
That's a
Luda Vandross songs.
misperception. It is one of the... I deliberately do not play Luther songs. Yes, I have played once or twice, but he is one of the artists I deliberately do not
Why?
play on the radio because of exactly this thing where I'm always defending that, oh, you're such a Luther fan. So I think there's this thing about you look like Luther, and therefore people think, I'm like, guys, there's a
Yeah.
lot more to my music interest
Than
than
that.
Luther.
So tell me about this song. How many times can we say goodbye by Luther Vandross?
1984, we now have a television set in our own home. And the only reason for that was there were now 2 TV channels available. Mthatha, where I was growing up. You could get TV1, which was in English and Afrikaans, but TV2 had just come to town. And that meant you could watch television in isiZulu and isiXhosa. And so, in a sense, this was TV for blacks. And so it was not only the language, it was the music they played. They could never have played Luther and Dionne Warwick on TV1, but on TV2 they could. And this was one of the first songs I fell in love with. My sister, who was much older, who is much older than I am, used to love music, and she was a great musical influence. And this was one of the songs that used to play on TV. It's, in fact, probably one of the first videos I remember with Luther and Dionne Warwick.
How old were you when you were
I was
there?
about 10 years old.
And you still related to this kind of music?
I loved it. As I say, there was something of a precocious child in me. And in fact, when I interviewed Luther, he told me of a story where he was so in love with Dionne Warwick, he went around telling people Dionne Warwick was his cousin. And because he used to sing sessions and work in recording studios, word kind of got around that there was this young, talented singer who's going around telling people that he's your cousin. Do you know Luther? And so word got to her. And of course, she didn't, because he wasn't her cousin. But that's how that pair got to work together eventually.
Well, here's How Many Times Can We Say Goodbye by Luther Vandross.
How many times can we break up and make up? Both of our hearts refusing to wake up. Just can't
Switch on your mic. Come on. Come on. You sing so well. Come. And I need you on this high note.
How many times can we say goodbye?
Can I join?
Really?
You gotta hear this part. Bye bye. Listen. There's a note.
Bongani Bingwa featuring Luther Vandross, everyone.
Morning, Clem. Bongani doesn't know this, but I'm his biggest fan, and it's the first time that I'm sending through a voice note. I just want to tell him I love him to bits. He is really a biscuit. If I don't get to listen to Bongani, if he's off air, or if I'm not able to listen in, I literally have withdrawal symptoms. I absolutely love him. It's D in Malbarton.
Morning, Clement. Thanks for a great show as always. Now, you know Bongani's laugh. Bongani's laugh just makes one's day already, just by him laughing. I listened to 702 from 6 until Relebuhile. So, you're my 702 team. You're the team to reckon with. Bongani, you, Mendiwina, and Relebuhile. And Relebuhile and Bongani, both their laughs just makes one want to listen to them. Yeah, thanks for a great show. Bongani. I always look forward to your breakfast show, my man. Thank you, guys. Have a lovely day.
Hey Clement, this is Chilulemba. Back in 2006, I was working at 94.7 Highfield Stereo, and Bongani was working at 702 in the newsroom. And if you remember, the two operations were adjacent to each other on the second floor of Prime Media House. So on one of those occasions, we're chatting, and I was a new dad, and he gave me a hack which I used successfully during that period. He said to me, when your daughter is throwing a tantrum, do not match that energy by screaming. Instead, lower the register of your voice, look at her, and just call out by name. So this was me. I'd be going, Talita, Talita, Talita. And it worked. Yeah, so fatherhood tips from Bongani from back then, and I salute him. More importantly, I salute him on the trajectory of his career since then.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you
Oh,
so
man.
much. Let's go to Lulama, who's calling us from Winchester Hills. Lulama, good morning.
Hello, Clem and Bong. So
Aitada.
lovely to see you both today, and just lovely to see you, Clem, honoring Bongs, and the same way that he was honoring you this morning for your foundation, and congratulations to you. And Bongs, congratulations on your amazing career. It has been great growing up with you. I am just a few years younger than you, but just an amazing broadcaster, salt of the earth individual. Truly enjoy waking up to you, to your show and the team, as you give us a heads up on what's going to happen in the day, locally and abroad. And again, it was just lovely to hear about Clem's foundation through you, and you spoke highly of his achievement, which you do so well with everyone, that lands on your show, on your hands. So yeah, congratulations. Love waking up to you midweek.
Thank you so much, Lulama. Oh, we've got Teto Mahlakwana as well on the line. Teto, good morning. You're up.
I'm awake. Good morning, family.
Sure, go ahead.
We're coming off an incredible high. Good morning, Bongani, and I'm so
Teto.
glad that Clement got you on this morning. Congratulations once more, Clement, on the launch of such an incredible, impactful, and necessary, timely intervention in society through the foundation. I just want to say, though, that this story about an ex that thinks you were one-dimensional, it might be true, my friend, because quality can come across as one-dimensional. Quality can come across as one-dimensional. And that's simply because when you love music the way you do, and we have heard this throughout your entire career, how much you love music, it comes across as snobbery. And I say snobbery because when you can transition the way you can from jazz to R&B to hip-hop to kwaito to mapiano, that can come across to people as though you are exactly that, a music snob. So their big loss, because who doesn't want to exist in a well of incredible music? Who doesn't want that? Bongani, I just wanted to say, and I only found out about this minutes ago, Clement, that you're having him on. I was writing to him, and I was writing to him about his heart. Bongani, you lead from heart. One issue, you lead from such purity, and I think that's probably why this world easily misunderstands you, because it's so pure, it's so real, and the world does not have the kind that you offer anymore. And it's such a beauty watching you give it to all of us in such great bundles of generosity. And we listen to your show. I always text him when something quite exceptional happens, and I'm like, I was crying, now I'm laughing because I just heard your laughter on air. And that is what the power of the medium is. And also, I just wanted to say to Bongani that your teenage acting coach B told me all about you. So, and this is many years ago, and I've never told you this.
Yeah, Teto, thank you so much in Johannesburg. Speaking of, you want to respond to the calls?
No, I mean, I think that's absolutely fantastic. You're humbled because we have the interesting challenge, Clement, of being able to talk to South Africa to talk to 702 Land in really difficult times. I mean, if you think about having navigated even the pandemic, the financial difficulties this economy has faced for a very long time, many people are under stress. We watch our country being assaulted from all directions in terms of the daily news, stories of corruption, stories of misappropriation of public funds, leaders who fail us. And talk radio could become a depressing experience, a depressing listen. And so our challenge is to be able to tell people what's going on in the world without depressing them, without making them feel that it's hopeless, without making them feel as if they don't have agency. And we've got to do that in a way that also says to people, we understand what you are going through because we're going through the same things. We are parents, we are siblings, we are sons, we are daughters, we are friends. We have failings, we have weaknesses, we have challenges. We have obstacles that we too must overcome. And so I think this idea of a journey together with our audience and this idea of connection with 702 Landers is very, very important to me. And so when people feel the same thing that I intend for us to experience through the radio, it's fantastic, it's humbling, and it's great. Thank you.
I want us to also talk about your advocacy on radio, because one of the issues you've taken up, even LGBTQI plus issues, and I've got such a lovely message from someone who says they've changed their stance on the LGBTQI plus community thanks to your own teachings as someone that they listen to every day, and they've come to understand that much better. So,
Hanging Out with Clement
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
25 minutes before 11 o'clock on our Hanging Out feature this morning, we've got this gentleman that you listen to every single morning here on 702, Bongani Bingwa, who is, an incredible award-winning journalist, someone who understands music really well, but guess what else? An actor. Because last night I found out you were on Generations.
Yes.
On Isidingo.
I was Parsons and Nandipa's lawyer.
What?
I remember. And then I was also, of course, I was always playing a lawyer.
Then that's not an extra move, because I thought maybe that you were
No, I had a speaking part. I did have speaking part. I think I had about 4 calls. And on Generations, I was with Vinolia Mashiho. And in a couple of scenes,
Were you the friend?
I was a lawyer again.
A lawyer.
I was a lawyer again, They were always suing somebody. And
have you been in film?
I have. I once played a rebel leader. So the whole movie was about this doctor who gets kidnapped. And I was trying to shoot a machine gun on the back of a moving van. Yeah, exciting.
Like those baddies in the movies.
Yeah. I was a baddie in the movie.
I have to watch that. You were shooting off an AK-47 as a rebel leader. Do you still have interest in acting?
I mean, I've got enough on my plate, eh?
Yeah.
I've got enough on my plate. But yeah, I think it was always... So I was always involved in productions. When I was at Wits, I used to be part... of productions at drama school. So I came up with that whole crop of actors whom you will know, Bohlomla Dandala, Mushidi Mutshekwa, and I used to sit next to each other in history. And we literally, that's every day we sat next to each other. Borro Zimutene, we were all together doing drama and film at Wits. So I used to get involved in productions in 94, 95. So I always sort of had this, that was an avenue I could pursue. I did a couple of plays at Wits, Streetcar Named Desire and that kind of thing.
What have
Sizwe
you not
Banzi is dead.
Oh, nice.
Those Fugard plays,
What have you not done? Because we stepped
I haven't recorded yet.
And that's yet, because it may very well happen. But I mean, we step into SAA, we hear your voice.
Oh, yes, there was that.
Yeah. Funny thing is, I've always had that voice because I do fly SAA a lot, and I only realized as
who it was
as probably like late last year.
So for anybody who doesn't know, I'm the guy when you're on an SAA flight who tells you to buckle up your seatbelt.
Yeah.
You know, and please be careful.
Yeah.
Moving from your overhead compartment.
Yeah.
As if the luggage may have shifted.
Yeah. It's so fascinating, but it really sounds so good. So, I got a message from someone who, this is Cleona, who says, hi Bongani, honestly, I see you in ministry when you retire. But I think you've told a story
done that
before that
before,
you've
yeah.
done ministry before.
Yeah, I mean, I was training to be an evangelist. I wanted to be a missionary, and I was part of a church organization, an evangelical organization. So I used to preach. I used to even go to, think Mabopane Station, right? In the middle of Mabopane Station, we'd get a whole team and we'd go public preaching. I used to preach on the trains at times.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What was happening at that time? Were you just convicted by your faith?
I think probably the biggest part of that story was me trying to run away from who I was. And I'd grown up, in fairness, I'd always grown up around the church. And so even at the time when I was a teenager, I think part of the reason my mother never had to worry about me being out or sleeping over at friends' homes was that we were always involved in some or other outreach work, looking after the poor. We had this coffee bar, which we used to use when we were teenagers as a way to reach out to other teens and to try and convert them. And so there was a natural segue into that later on in adult life. And I think I battled with my sexuality for a very long time. And I think I thought if I devoted myself just that much more,
healed,
I would
quote
pray the
unquote.
gay away. And yeah, nobody heard that prayer, hey?
Yeah, well, if there's a God out
Thank
there,
God.
he doesn't have-
Thank God, actually.
Thank God. But so at what point then did you accept yourself? Like what was there something that happened? When did you decide this is who I am and I'm going to embrace this?
Clement,
Oh, well, you said vulnerable earlier, so here we go.
What? Here we go. I think when I lost my son. I think when I lost my son, and there was a very clear sense in my head that, okay, do your worst, life. If you've done that, what else could you do to me? What's the worst that could happen after that? And I think also no parent should bury a child, right? And I think when that kind of thing happens to you, you realize how precious life is. And you realize it particularly because you had all these hopes and expectations and dreams for this little soul that will never fulfill them, that you think you might as well fulfill your own.
Yeah, sure. What's your relationship now with religion?
Non-existent.
Non-existent.
I'm an informed non-believer.
Yeah, but you don't describe yourself as an atheist or agnostic?
I think
agnostic?
atheism, nailing your colors to that mast is almost akin to belief, right? Because atheism asks certainties about things you cannot say for sure, in the same way that belief insists on certainties about things
Can prove.
you cannot prove. And so I think the probably the most comfortable position would be to say that I'm agnostic. I do think, though, I'm informed enough to say that on the balance of probabilities, the idea that there's a supreme being interested in the minutiae of our lives, just the more I know, the more I understand the world and how the world works, the more I understand about the randomness of life, disease, and how nature works. It just makes no sense to me that there could be a benevolent force, much less an omniscient force behind it all.
Yeah. Well, let's go to some WhatsApps on 0727021702.
Good morning, 702. Clement, you got a legend there, Bongani Bingwa. The first time I saw that man, that was in 1997. I'm sure it was after boxing, because it used to be sport and then after sport and then it's boxing. So it was around past 5-6. Yeah, because it was in the evening when he presented himself as Bongani Bingwa on SABC, but I can't remember the channel, but I know that is SABC. I still remember very well. He was wearing his black suit with those tiny little strips going down. You see, he was well presented. A nice guy, Mr. Nice Guy. I can put it in that way.
Good morning, Clement. So good to have Bongani across the desk this morning. What I find most fascinating about him is his memory, the way he remembers dates, remembers people's names, all sorts of things. How does he do it? Thanks.
How do you do? Thank you so much. How do you do that?
I mean, so one of the reasons I took a very long time to even pursue the idea of being behind the microphone as far as talk radio is concerned is that I think that in South Africa, particularly when it comes to broadcasting, we have this obsession with youth, right? Whereas I think that you have to have been around to do what we do. You have to have been there to remember the texture, to be able to tell listeners, this is what it smelled like, this is what it looked like. I reached out and I could touch this. I spoke to that person who was at this stage of their life. And so I think one of the key functions of our job is to be able to tell stories. And what are stories without detail? What are stories without names and places and dates and moments, and being able to paint a picture, both in terms of the details, but also being able to step back and say, in the greater scheme of things, this is what it connects to. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I want you to, before we play the next song, to tell me a story you told me off air, which I think listeners would find
we go
very
back to
funny.
Luther
Yeah,
again.
Luther Vandross. Because you interviewed him when you were at Channel O, and you were
Yes.
telling me an interesting story. Something happened when you guys were getting ready for the interview.
We were at the Westcliff Hotel, and we'd been told two things. This is 1997. We'd been told two things. Do not ask him about his weight, and do not ask him about his sexuality. And so you could ask him anything else, but those two topics, those were off limits.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, of course, yeah, you've got the interview. Of course, you're not going to mess that up, right? And so we were getting ready. We had the makeup artist, and they were doing the final touches before the interview was due to start. And there was always this thing that I look like Luther, and yeah, whatever. And he looks at the monitor, and then he says to me, he says, "Oh my gosh, for a moment, I thought, did I lose some weight?" So he was that relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you didn't touch on weight, though, even though that moment happened, during the interview.
I mean, I got where he came from. I mean, as somebody who's also struggled, yo-yoing up and down, I got it. I got his
Yo-yoing up
discomfort.
and down.
You know, I look like all versions of Luther.
Simpiwe Tana, Iliwalam. Tell me
now
about
this song. This is one of my ultimate love songs because the poetry in this song, and the lyrics of this song, where she talks about you are my hiding place, the place that I go to hide.
Is that what Iliwa means?
Iliwa is a hill.
Oh, hill.
Right? Iliwa is a hill, so obviously people go hide in the hills, so to speak. And yeah, I mean, ezinzulwini zobusuku abufika alufika uloyiko lam.
Wena uyiliwa lam.
You know, in the depths of the darkness of the night, when my fear comes, I will not fear anything because you are with me. Uliliwa lam.
Yandinika amandla wena uliliwala andinakoyika tohleli nam wena
when I'm tired, when I'm defeated, uliliwa lam. When I'm tired, when I'm defeated, you are the place where I go and run, where I go and hide. Right? My refuge. I mean, Iliwa literally, of course, is a hill, but she's talking about this person who is her refuge.
So poetic.
Hi Clement, it's Mike here from Ivory Park. I'm a big fan of Bongani. I just picture him. I don't know how he is. He is outside radio, but I always picture him as somebody who likes to throw jokes here and there, and puns. So yeah, but what sort of a person is Bongani outside radio? Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Clement.
Are you asking me that, or are you asking Bongani? What kind
He's
of
asking
person are you?
You answer.
You're a fun person. And that's why when you explained what you explained earlier about how you also have anxieties, I've never thought that you do or that you're shy.
I do. So I'll give you an example. I'm happy to say MC in a professional setting. One of the worst things you could do is ask me to MC an event for family or friends, or, that's when I feel
it can be close to home.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so, but I'm a fun person. I'm a dad outside of being
life.
a broadcaster. I really think I'm an awesome friend, or at least I try to be. I'm
you an
passionate
awesome
about
lover?
sport. I'm passionate about cooking, about traveling, about books, about wine, about
History.
theater. I'd like to I see myself as an all-rounder.
Yeah.
As far as being, my boast has always been this, and I've not heard anything to contradict it in all these years, because I've told the people involved as well. If I'm in your life romantically, I'm the best partner you've ever had.
Okay. Best partner.
What happens after me, none of my business. I'm not saying that I can't be improved upon, but I'm saying if I'm in your life romantically, I aim to be the best partner you've ever had.
Yeah.
And I mean that in an all-round sense.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Hanging out with Clement
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
5 minutes before 11 o'clock. Kaya, you calling us from Bryanston. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Good morning, Bongani.
Hello, Kaya.
Yes, I'm just calling Clement to just thank you for having put Bongani across your desk. What a guy. What a human, Bongani. And I think my excitement just arises from the opportunity that the 702 lenders are getting to just witness Bongani's depth, to witness his authenticity, to witness just the real him, which is so consistent and just so deep, I also want to comment on the guy, on the lover or ex-lover that said that his music is one-dimensional. And I want to dare say that was perhaps a short-term relationship. Because there's no way that you can think Bongani is one-dimensional, even as a human, let alone his music as a human. I particularly enjoy his love for learning, for knowledge, and sharing it to 702 lenders and his people around him. So congratulations and thank you, Clement, for just showcasing him to the nation. Because what you get is what you see.
Yeah.
Even when he decides to be mad or whatever, that's what it is. There's nothing in between.
Yeah, true. Kaya in Bryanston, thank you. Refilwe, you are in Cape Town. Hi.
Good morning. Hi, Bongani and Clement.
Hi, Refilwe.
Yes, hi. It's Tapedi Refilwe Mpero here from
Tapedi.
Cape Town. Yeah, hi. So
that's the lady you're with, and you kept saying this is Mzala.
Yeah, this is your Mzala.
Last night. Hi, Mzala. How are you?
Hey, Mzizo.
Listen, yesterday was, of course, a beautiful evening, and I got even more excited and happier to meet Uncle Bongs in person, finally. Yeah, and I think, Uncle Bongs, you're such a warm person. I really, really, really loved being at the launch last night, but also meeting you was the cherry on top for me.
Beautiful.
You are a household name in my home. My daughter, who's 6 years old, always says to me, "Are you listening to Uncle Bongs again? I want to listen to K-pop." So,
All the way in Cape Town.
Thank you so much.
Thank
guys.
you, Refilwe. Are you back in Cape Town?
I'm still in Johannesburg today.
Okay, still here. Okay, cool. Please travel safe.
And just for
to
context,
Cape
so
Town,
that people can understand, she's your cousin.
No, she's my cousin's friend. So my cousin was here from Cape Town, and she's
the cousin's
my
friend.
cousin's
Gotcha.
friend.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
My brother also sent me a message
Aw.
because he says he spent time with you last night.
Yes.
He says, "Oh, I like Bongani so much, man. Please pass my regards. he's such a fun person. I was with Memunkwe when Bongani discovered that you used to pick her bags. He asked, "What did I do?" And that's when Miss Nkwe said, "You were not the brightest in class." So yeah, that's
you see, true story.
Some WhatsApp said 072 702 at 702.
Hi, good morning, Clement. Clement, that man on the studio there, I used to cross paths with him in the 90s. That man loves music. If he remembers, in the 90s, there was a shop at Pretoria Street, Look and Listen.
Yep.
I used to work there. I was the only black salesperson there, if he remembered. Yeah. I used to play music. He used to come to the shop and then we'll sit at the corner. There used to be a corner there where we play music for customers. Yeah, that man loves music, man. He does love music. He reminds me of this boy from, what's that group? I can't just remember the name of the group. He came to the shop with a cassette, a demo cassette. He was begging me. He was like kneeling down. Please play this for me. As we speak today, he's a big man in the industry. Thank you, Clement.
No.
Hello, Clement. My name is Betty from Lagos, Nigeria. Congrats on your foundation launch. I hope you do great things for all the people you have in mind.
Thank you.
For that. To Bongani, I left South Africa about 3 years ago, but I just couldn't stop listening to the breakfast show with Bongani. It's so much fun, listening to it. I love radio, but I love his show. I thought I couldn't get over someone who was presenting it before, and then Bongani came. I've watched him on Carte Blanche. I've watched him on Come Dine With Me, The Masked Singer, and the likes. You're amazing at what you do, and I wish you all the best in everything you put your hand in. Have an amazing day. Great show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me go to Zandile on the line now. Zandile, good morning.
Good morning, Clem,
Hey.
and what a wonderful, wonderful tribute. Oh, my goodness. I'm just so touched. Bongani and I come a long way. Hi, Bongani, it's Ben. How's
Oh
it
my
going?
gosh. Mpatuam. My boss.
So Bongani and I worked together in the late 90s when he
Yeah.
was still on Channel O. And what a talent.
Yeah.
Always the professional. Like, he was the epitome of professionalism. We worked so beautifully together. And you know what I loved about Bongani? He was a bookworm and pretty quiet at the time. And so just watching him blossom and thrive and to be able to give you your flowers while you're still alive, Bongani, is just an honor. It's a pleasure. We love what you do. You do us proud. And we wish that you will continue. My prayer for you, Bongani, is that the Lord will expand your territory and he will expand your understanding of his love for you.
Oh, beautiful. Zandile in Johannesburg. Thank you so
Zandile
much.
Nzalo. No. You've
Yeah.
got to understand.
Name and
Zandile
surname.
Nzalo
Zandile Nzalo.
she used to be a host here at 702. I mean, I know her from the Radio Bop days. She was my boss at Channel O, and she's now, a corporate leader in her own right.
Yeah.
So thank you, Zandile, and to everyone who's phoned in and sent voice notes.
Thanks to you for making time to hang out with us. And we really appreciate the incredible work that you do. I can't think of any other breakfast show that's as amazing as yours. Or any other breakfast host as amazing as yours. And
What
I'm
did
not
you tell
saying that to
Anele?
buy your face.
Send it to all the girls.
I will. So thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
thank you for the incredible work that you do, Bongani.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.